just love the drama.
Biggest U-turn since winter fuel allowance.
Cut that.
Because loose lips sink ships.
And what the fans want is to stop teams being owned by madmen.
Listen, you're really making a mess here. You're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. We're getting really cross with you.
The sticky patch came when the rest of the team's sticky patch came, which was sort of January onwards.
Grumble, boobs joke, hot ones.
No, let me tell you, I don't have to look at this objectively at all.
The Wednesday week!
Put on your podcast!
Hello, good evening, and welcome to another episode of the Wednesday week. This week is going to be quite an emotional one as we looked upon the scenes at the end of the Bristol City game. But that's something that we will get into later on. We've got two games to go through, and joining me right now, I've got John, Simon, and Stevie. My name's Dan Fudge. Hold tight, the crew. Now, what's going to happen is I normally would spend a couple of moments in the first 20 minutes of each episode talking about the games and going through them. However, the games themselves have decided that they're going to meander into absolute Groundhog Day as the time goes on. So I wanted to touch upon a few points, chaps. I'm not going to go through lineups. I'm not going to go through each individual match thing. We're just going to spend 10 minutes on the games and then get into the meat and taters of it all. You know what I mean? Don't forget to get involved in the comments. I want to hear your points on this as well. And I want to, and then we're going to get into the hot topics as we get on in the evening. Now, the first game that took place was Tuesday last week, which now seems an eternity away. But like I said, we're not going to spend a million hours on this one. Birmingham came to Sheffield on a terrible away form. We weren't very confident going in, but John, that wasn't a classic of a football game, was it?
No, it was very low key again, wasn't it? It was a strange one because I think Birmingham were one of the only other sides that we should have beat down at their place, didn't it? I think it was like pretty much a last kick of the game that rescued a point for them. I think fans were on the way out and then come back in to celebrate a goal. So pre-match, I thought, maybe we've got something there. I think they're a bit of an overrated side. I know they've spent a lot of money. They've got the whole razzmatazz with Tom Brady in the background and everything, and massive plans going forward and stuff. But on the pitch, they've been very mediocre. So I did, even though we've been terrible ourselves, I did kind of wonder why we might get something out of the game. But leading up to it, even it was a very drab affair again, wasn't it, Dan? It's just a lot of huff and puff, but no blowing houses down, I'm afraid.
No, there was no real end product. But Simon, I felt like there was I was starting to believe as soon as 80 minutes came round, the fact that we passed that hour mark and we'd not conceded a goal and 80 minutes came round, I thought, hang on, we might steal a point here. Not that a point really makes a difference, but it's just nice to have something to cheer about. You know what I mean? We got a point. And we even had Bailey Cadamartri at the beans. I thought that was a great bit of work from Ingleson, and he kind of bent it round the goalkeeper, round Beadle, didn't he? And it hit the bottom of the post. Yeah. But then the match kind of flipped on its head the last 15 minutes as they broke through. I'm just trying to remember. It was Stansfield, wasn't it? It was the offside shout that we were all convinced was offside, right? And then we all looked back and went, "Oh no!"
Got played on, didn't it? Far post, I think it was. Yeah, you know what? I actually thought that we were going to get a point out of it, Dan. I thought we matched them more than enough, because the money they got in their team, and I thought I thought Heskey was very good. I thought Cooper, I think he looks a good signing, Cooper, and I thought from a couple of saves he made on Saturday. I think he's a really good keeper, so that's a nice thing to take from it. And I thought Heskey looked assured his first full game for Wednesday, but you get to 80 minutes and is it the wheels fall off? I don't think the wheels fall off. I just think we run out of gas, and you could just that when that goal went in, it was just that's it now, done. We ain't got anything left in us. And when Bailey hit the post, Birmingham sent to wake Birmingham up, and they went up a gear, and we just couldn't match it, and that were it done.
They were knocking on the door for about 20 minutes before they actually scored. I felt like there was a huge period of time where they were constantly battering us down, and then they just managed to get this through. Now, Stevie, the last goal, was Kyogo Furuhashi, who hasn't scored in the championship yet at all. Now, and I need to get the terminology right. Kyogo Furuhashi is fucking shit, and I feel, that
is that what it means?
I think
actually,
that's how it translates. And I felt for Cole McGee in that moment, because he didn't just underhit the pass, he actually telegraphs it so badly as well, the young kid. I'm not digging him out, bless him, he's come in and been very good, but it's moments like that that win and lose games at this level. And I was gutted for Cole, but I was also annoyed that Furuhashi scored as well, because, like I say, he is trash.
Yeah, I agree. And I'd actually forgotten that we were going to talk very briefly about Birmingham tonight, because it was that far long ago and we've had that much going on. That I'd forgotten the previous game. The McGee one, it's unfortunate. He's one of those things that he'll learn from. You don't want it to happen to anybody, but when it's a young kid, I think what he's got is he's got a little bit of credit, if you like, in terms of the performances that he has put in against the likes of Blackburn when he came in and played really well on that debut that was unexpected. So I think he will get away with it from a point of view in terms of people perceiving him as a player. He'll learn from that mistake. The goal that went in, the game was done by that point. The frustrating thing about the Birmingham game was I didn't like their fan base, if I'm honest with you. I didn't like the way that they went about the business in terms of the songs that they were singing, the chanting. You get your normal banter, and I know people will always justify the whole, it's banter amongst arch rivals, or it's banter amongst sort of supporting fan bases that oppose each other. But anybody at the moment that's singing having a party when Sheffield Wednesday die, and there'll be somebody that comes out and says we've probably done something similar. It's just not something I really want to hear, to be honest, at the minute. That's my mindset. Do you know what I mean? So who are Birmingham and what have they done when they've been in the shit themselves, to be fair? To hear that weren't great, but they celebrated it at full time as if they'd won the FA Cup final. You did a preview show with them, which I thought was really good, by the way, last week, and they were talking about being the 23rd best, or the second worst team in terms of their away form. So they're the bottom of the bottom if you take us out. So who are they to start singing and chanting and this, that, and the other? They've had their time, it'll come again, and they've got a bright future in front of them, in their opinion. We'll see what happens, but it's just one of those things, and we move on.
Yeah, the scenes at the end I thought were a bit over the top, but I found I was watching it going a bit tin pot, especially that Kyogo Furuhashi was giving it the beans as well, but I felt they were a bit over the top, John. But imagine if you haven't won away in ages, but there does need to be a sense of humility as well. Do you know what I mean? I find it weird how much sympathy we get as a club and as a fan base from teams that we haven't took points off and teams that we have took points off. Do you know what I mean? I feel like feel like the correlation of people that are laughing at our demise and the people we've took points off, the Venn diagram's a circle.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if it's the Bannan thing, having links to Villa and stuff. I don't know if that got him revved up a little bit or whatever. But
they're not fans of him, are they?
Yeah, like Stevie said, they've hardly pulled up any trees for a good amount of years themselves. So coming up giving it large is probably a little bit disappointing. Never like to sing songs. We've got our own one which I've never joined in. We know the Die Die Piggy Piggy Die. I'll never sing that one. I hate it. It's like, come on, it's like we're not in the playground. So I think Derby were a little bit like that as well when they came to Hillsborough, but we're the whipping boys of the division now, aren't we? So I think fans are just going to come up. They're going to have a few extra points because they're in for an easy day, aren't they? An easy victory, more times than that. Probably just get a bit carried away. It is a bit disappointing, but like I say, what did you do in the last 10, 15 years? You know what I mean?
They got relegated as much as we did, to be fair. Let's move on. Let's just get out of here because it was a week away, and then let's move up to more recent times to Bristol City. Now, Bristol City are pushing for playoffs. They want to try and recreate the playoffs that they got last season, and they're absolutely knocking on the door. But then again, I think there's about another 7 teams knocking on the door. And I think if you even speak to Norwich fans who are 11 points off the playoffs, or even the Blades, I think they're a good few points off. I think if you ask Chris Wilder behind closed doors, do you reckon you can make a push for playoffs? I think he'd say yes. So we were going to be up against it at Bristol City. Now, the issue being is that there was a lot of chat, Simon, about our captain leaving as well, that this was going to be his final hurrah. But let's put a pin in that for the time being, and let's get that towards the end of the game. Another dour shite game of football, but on both sides this time, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think Ethan read out to me the sort of statistics. I know Ash isn't here and he hates statistics, doesn't he? But it was... certainly from our point of view, is I think at the time when he read it out was probably 3/4 away through the first half. 0 shots on goal, 0 shots on target from Wednesday. We just become ineffective at all at creating anything. And I did expect Bristol to give us a walloping. I think I predicted, as I am firmly stuck to the bottom of the prediction league, a 4-0 drubbing, because I really do fancy Bristol City being one of those teams that are going to... I thought they'd be up there at the top, but obviously there are 2 other teams there that are proving otherwise. But from last season and from what I saw of them last season, that they're going to be in the playoffs, definitely. They're one of the stronger teams, and they're definitely being built to go up into the Premier League. So because they've been stalwarts, haven't they, for years in the Championship? They've always been one of those teams that have, like Preston, forever been in the Championship. But I think there's a lot of money washing around there as well. So, but it didn't turn out to be the goal fest I thought it might be from them until the second half.
Well, this is it, right? So 2 things to pick up there on what Simon said, Stevie. The first one is that there's a bit of money flying around there. Now, you went down to Ashton Gate. Is that not the starkest reminder of how shit Hillsborough is when you go and see that stadium? And I'm not saying it's like Spurs Stadium, don't get me wrong, but the facilities, the infrastructure, especially for home fans, is absolutely incredible, isn't it? For what's essentially a provincial club that hasn't played top flight football in half a century or whatever it's been.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. I go, and I'm going to go to away games for. I'm sort of ticking off the Championship, the stadiums that I've not been to before. So I'm looking at getting to Swansea. Not been to Bristol before. Went down there. Lovely little spot. The city itself was nice. Got into the ground area. The walk-in was great. But then you get to the stadium itself, and when on the outside you're kind of looking at it, and you can see obviously the rugby sort of connotations and the tie-ins there as well. But getting inside, and then it just opens up, and I'm standing there and I was thinking to myself, crikey, this is a hell of a stadium for a team that's been, as we're saying, perennially stuck in that second tier at best for the last however long it has been. You can see it's one of those LED boards. The facilities are where they are. They've moved on, and you can see how things have moved on, and we haven't in the last sort of 20 years or so, and it does make a difference. They've no business having a stadium like that, have they? But you can't argue that they have, because they're doing things in the right way. They're not superstars in terms of spending X, Y, and Z. Again, another preview show that we did last week. They spend modestly, but they spend consistently for this level of the league. 2 million here, 3 million there. They're not going and spunking like certain other teams that we've just been talking about, 10, 15 million pounds on unproven strikers. They're doing it right, and fair play to them. They're in and around it. Will they make the playoffs? I don't know. I think there's going to be a bit of a bum fight. You look at it. I'm just looking at the league now. I had no idea how high Wrexham had gone. And Hull being up there as well is another one that you look at the start of the season that you can't argue with, because they're there on merit. But I just have a feeling that there's a couple of teams that will go up and maybe sneak it. It wouldn't surprise me if United were one of them. But there's somebody in that middle pack, I think, tradition dictates that somebody will go and break in there, won't they?
I think that Middlesbrough are going to drop their arse, and I think Ipswich are going to steal their space, and it's going to be Ipswich Coventry go up. That's clearly the way it's going for me. Middlesbrough have picked up a little bit as well, but Ipswich are barnstorming at the minute.
Yeah,
Bristol City, they're right weird club, don't they? They're like middle lane drivers, aren't they? On motorway, they're just staying in that middle lane. They're not crap enough to be in slow lane, but they're not going to come tearing down you on the outside. Are they just going to sit in the middle, and then hopefully the one season where it's going to drop from them, they're going to go up. So it's quite sensible and modest.
Yes.
but kind of
Now,
ambitious in a way as well.
To give you a bit of background on why Bristol City's facilities are what they are, I don't know if you know, but you know that meme of people watching England that gets where they change the video and all the bar goes nuts and they all start chucking pints. That's at Ashton Gate, that video, and that is in the huge pizza bar that they've got under their homestand. I've been in it a number of times. It's absolutely incredible. But what they've done, they've set up, Steve Lansdowne, the chairman, has set up this this company called Bristol Sport, and he's bought the rugby club and he's bought Bristol City, and I think there's volleyball involved in that as well. And they've set up this brand called Bristol Sport, and a lot of the Bristol City fans are getting really frustrated with Steve Lansdowne because when he's trying to sell the club, because normal football fans are what they are, and they're grumbling that it's not spending enough money, and the sick of being a middle lane hogger like you mentioned, John. He's trying to sell Bristol Sport. He's not trying to sell the football club. He's trying to sell it as a whole, and that's where people are getting annoyed. But careful what you wish for, or be aware of what you've got, lads. Because I tell you what, your stadium pisses on ours, and your entire setup pisses on ours. I would love middle lane and mediocrity right now. I would snap your hand off for it. You know what I mean? Let me just go through a couple of comments before we get into the match statistics. So Nathan, sorry, Nala the Poochon has gone with it's a dog. Dog's talking to me, the Poochon. The level of the championship this season is shite. So many poor teams in chance of promotion or playoffs. God help whoever goes up. I believe that because Middlesbrough, the teams you mentioned, Middlesbrough, Preston, Hull City, what are they doing at the top of the championship? It's only because the teams that came down from the Premier League have been so shit. Izzy Nick has gone with the lack of water pressure makes me feel at home. So fair play to Ashton Gate there. And Alex Neon Brown has gone, Dan, have you seen Bristol City's training facilities up at the Clifton Suspension Bridge? World fucking class. I have, and you are correct. They are. So let's get into it now. On the hour, Simon, a mate of mine texted me. The guy I did hello from the other side with, he texted me on the hour and said, needless to say, he texted me at half time. Needless to say, the Bristol City fans are not very happy with that performance because the game was shite. There was no shots from Sheffield Wednesday on target once again, and I said, don't worry. As soon as the hour mark comes round, we'll tire, we'll fatigue. The manager won't make any changes, and we'll end up conceding. And what was it? 63 minutes? Is that when it was?
Yeah.
Like at 64th minute, absolute clockwork. Scott Twine doesn't score with his head. It's becoming the script, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. You got to feel for Cooper because he made some amazing saves before that. I mean, I think it was in the first half. He must have made 3, 4, 5 saves to keep them out,
he did a double save as well. That was absolute. Oh, that was against Birmingham, actually. Sorry, my apologies. He got a double save on the near post. But yes, he absolutely did some barnstormers.
Just looks a really, really good, as I said earlier, really, really good signing for the rest of the season. But yeah, it just looks like tiredness, doesn't it? Just not picking up on that man for the header. And it is literally the ball comes in and, like you say, never scores a header. And there you go, back in the net. And the keeper can't do a lot about that because it was a bullet header. There was just no stopping that one, was there? And it just smacks of tiredness. There's just nothing left in the legs. And
I agree.
And we see it every game, don't we? We see it every game. If we're not already 1-0 down, the opposition scores. If we're already 1-0 down, the legs go and we lose by 2-3 goals.
I tell you what, Simon, right? So we've had a few comments there, like Mad Water said, rinse and repeat. And I texted a friend of mine and said we're going to tire on the hour and concede 2 or 3, right? Why do we know that's happening? And I've got to ask, why doesn't Pedersen do anything about it?
When we play Birmingham. Sorry, pal. Go on.
Well, what we've got, right? We know that our training facilities have been out of order. You know what I mean? We know we've not been training to the intensity that we should be because our fitness levels in terms of injuries have been quite poor this season. You know, you've got players like Liam Palmer, who's at 70% fitness. You can see the way he's chasing and huffing and puffing. Like I said to you the other week, the best Liam Palmer we've had at the club was the one where he was doing the marathons through the summer. You know what I mean? You could tell his fitness was there, and the players don't have the fitness. You can see it. You can see Kadamatri looks leggy. Jamal Lowe's lost his edge in terms of chasing the defenders down. You know, he's not a particularly gifted striker, but tell you what, he was energetic, and that's gone a little bit. And you know, you can see a little paunch on players in their mid-30s, like Barry Bannan. You know what I mean? And you're like, God, he never had that before. Because we haven't been training to the intensity that we've got. Now, through no fault of the players, the levels aren't there. So why doesn't Pedersen make a change on the hour? Because this is what's happening every week, and he's doing me head in.
The funny thing was, I was going to say at the Birmingham game, he actually changed it early, didn't he? And I think I can't remember who he brought on now. McNeil was one of them, of which Ethan just rolled his eyes and put his sort of hood over his head and just like, really? But it just didn't change the game. And it just sent to be, even the players coming in look tired. And I think you're right in regards to, is it the lack of a pre-season? Is it the lack of being able to physically motivate these players in training, because we're just getting battered every week? And we're getting, there must be a mental point of view of how far you can physically turn your body on when your mind isn't willing to carry on. Because
there's definitely a mental block there. Yes,
there's got to be. And if you hate your job, look, let's face it, guys, we've all been in a job we've not liked, haven't we? Over our years, probably me more than anybody, because I'm the old man of the podcast. But trying to get up in the morning, go in.
We're all old now, mate. I'm afraid we've been doing this that long.
To be honest, this is the old stooges. This us four. We haven't got any youth of us four, have we? You know, that going in the morning, trying to get your ass out of bed, trying to motivate you get yourself in, trying to do the work, and you just physically drained without actually physically putting any effort in. This must be where the players are. Surely it must be where the players are. And the young lads must be absolutely petrified. We were talking about this the other week. Is the fact that the kids that he's playing are a similar age to my son, and my son is still growing. You know, he's grown nearly a foot over the last 6 months. You know, he's becoming that man now. These kids are still growing. And if you look at the long list of the injuries of the lads, the young lads, it's hamstring after hamstring after hamstring injury, which has got to be related to their age, their growth, the fact that they haven't fully matured, you know? And we bring another one and then we kill another one, you know? It's literally, it's almost like the Vietnam of football, isn't it? We just pull another person in and that's it. Then we kill them and we bring somebody else in.
Now, in order for balance, we've been corrected here, Simon, because I was about to go on a right old rant on it. But Emily Marsden's gone. He did it against Portsmouth and we conceded immediately. Owen has gone with, we made 3 subs against Portsmouth on 63 and conceded on 65.
What do we know?
He made the subs early on Saturday and then we conceded. So it turns out we were just wrong. Turns out, doesn't matter. I was like, cheers for that, everybody. I appreciate you correcting me on that one.
I think, but to be fair, though, Dan,
a long-serving problem, I think, rather than those 2 examples. But go on.
Yeah, I was just going to say that you can look at those sort of latter instances and examples, but there have been plenty of time where I've sat in the stand at Hillsborough and watched him get players stripped in the 88th, 89th minute, and they've stood there for 2-3 minutes, and then they've not made a change, or he's making substitutions. All right, the Bannan one will have been an exception on Saturday because of the nature of what was going on, but that was the 91st minute, and the game was done. Could it have been earlier? You know, where you go back and you look at it, he's bringing young lads on. The QPR game, he brought, I think it was Moses he brought on in the 94th minute. Somebody was saying that Cadamartri was injured. He brought him on for him. I'll stand corrected in terms of the players, but a week later, the player that came off injured was playing again. And I think to the point around the substitutes, and he doesn't make the changes, and it makes me think, does he look down what's going on at training, whatever training is going on, and he's looking down his bench and he's thinking, I don't trust that player. Yeah. I don't trust that person.
But I don't trust the players who've already got out either. What we got to lose? Just let's.
I'm offering a reason as to why we're not making the changes that we changes. I'm not saying that I agree with it or otherwise, and I'm not defending Pedersen. I actually think that I would be inclined to mix it up and change it if I could. And there are players that I'd be clamouring for that are either on the bench that haven't started or in the youth team that haven't come up. And I'd like to see more of them. But at the moment, I think we're now putting out when we're at risk. And this is becoming a little bit of a narrative that we've got now when we're now blooding players in this team that aren't ready. And I think we're going to, in terms of a long-term career for these players, I don't think we nurtured them right. And there are certain players, without wanting to dig anybody out, that are playing first-team football at the moment that simply aren't good enough to be playing championship football. And whether that be a developmental thing that they could then progress and become that good, we'll never know, because they're going to be forced to play for the rest of the season. And I think we're hindering the career of some of these younger players by putting them in when they're not ready.
Yeah, I think you're right. We can look at players like what was in McAllister when he was playing for a back then. He got blooded in and then realised that he wasn't up to level, and we ended up billing him out to Rochdale. I thought that one surprised me. But I tell you what, let's get into some adverts, and then we'll pick up what happened at the end of the game. Just before we get into it, we've had a couple of comments. We've had Philip Byers say Amass played nearly every minute. He was out there, but our youth players seemed injured after the first few games. What is wrong with our training ground and regime? I don't think we've got one. It's clear that Harry Amass had a pre-season with a high-end Premier League team in Manchester United, and there's the difference. That's what we're seeing. Mad Ward has gone with, it's hard to blame HP when he doesn't really have a team to play with. I would happily dig out Henrik Pedersen now. And let me quantify it, because just like the players, just like we were talking about Simon was talking about motivating yourself and stuff like that, I think he's lost it as well. I think he walks into that change room going, just like he did at the end in the interview after the Bristol City game, and they asked him about Barry Bannan, he's going, yeah, well, it's really sad. And you can imagine him now walking into the change room going, right, lads, just come on now. Let's try not to lose. Let's get, you know what I mean? Now, let's be honest. Let's pick an absolute prick. Darren Ferguson, Nigel Clough, right? Would they be walking into the change room with that atmosphere, or would they go, right, lads, it's tough this, we're going to have to dig one out and call them out a little bit and go, you were shite, you were rubbish, I'm hooking you off, you know what I mean? And still endeavour to try and run a football club that's competitive on the pitch, rather than having somebody going, yeah, I know, it's hard, isn't it, lads? Come on now. We're losing Barry and all. Do you know what I mean? But like I say, it's very difficult to dig out some of these players and the coaching staff because of what adversity they've been under. So I'm not gonna go ham on it, but I feel that that's a concern. I feel that he's also mentally fatigued as well. And unfortunately, when you're the manager, you're not allowed to be mentally fatigued. Do you know what I mean? I work for a company right now that went into administration today, and I've got all these people that have got to go, that I've got to try and reassure, and I've got to, right, lads, come on, dig deep, get under. You're not gonna, and I'm fed up. My boss is fed up. And I'm not going to sit there going, well, we're just going to have to try and carry on, lads. Let's all dig it. No, come on. Let's absolutely pull ourselves up by the bootstraps and make this a functioning business, make this a functioning football team as best we can. And then we can hold our head up high. And I don't think he's saying that. That's purely my opinion. That's my conjecture. But I don't know. But Chef Cam there said, who motivates the motivator? You're the manager. You don't. You know what I mean? That's kind of what it is. That, you know what I mean?
I don't know whether there's ever been a time that a football club that's been put in administration has been in the position that Wednesday are in. Because when clubs have been put into administration, Leeds, Leicester, Palace, to go on, they didn't have a squad that had been decimated like ours was prior to it actually happening. You know, we had the number of players and the quality of players that left at the start of the season, the build up to the season, you know, it left us with a threadbare squad as it was. And then obviously the embargoes from that then stopped us being able to sign any players. And the fact that we couldn't afford to pay players and so on and so forth. And then the situation we are in now, where Pedersen's had to sort of try and cherry pick out of what we've got, the best young players. And bear in mind, from what I'm hearing, is that the under 16s are having to play for the under 18s. The under 23s, a lot of the players left because they weren't being paid. So the under 18s are playing for the under 23s. You know, he's having to cherry pick the best out of players like Will Granger and people like that who are very good, but maybe aren't ready yet because, you know, they're going from playing what is effectively college football in a way, under 23s, to playing in the Championship, which is one step under the Premier League. You know, and this is a ridiculous jump. Somebody made a comment about Harry Amass being fitter than our young lads. But he's already played for the first team, Man United. He's already there. We're picking lads. Will Granger's a year younger than my son, so he's 16. He couldn't have the sponsor on his shirt because the rules won't allow a betting company to be on his shirt. This is what Henrik Pedersen's got to pick from, and that the pickings he's getting are getting less and less viable because they're either injured or being sold.
Yeah, but let's still not forget that Jan Valery is a fullback and Sean Fusiri professes to be a centre midfielder, and he played one at centre midfield and the other at fullback, and one of them is shite. And I will let you take your pick on whoever that is. You know what I mean? And we've had one here saying Charlie McNeil is not a right wing back. But just to come away from that point a little bit, we've had a couple of comments here that said it's hard to blame Henrik Pedersen when he really doesn't have a team to play with. I agree, because I could go a lot more ham on this if he had better players at his disposal. And then Craig Haywood here picks on the point that a lot of people pick on, saying, in all fairness, Dan, HP knew what he was getting into when he took the job on. Yes, he did, but I don't think he knew it was going to be that bad. And I think more and more has happened over the last 6 months, and he's on his ass. Emily agrees. Yeah. Sorry,
mate. I just want to endorse what you just said, that Craig's one of the last man standing group, and he's very active in our chat. And I love Craig to bits, and Ellie, he knew what he was getting into, but I don't think for a second that he realised that when he signed on in the summer, we will be here. And the rumblings, from internally, I understand that the rumblings were, this is probably going to drag out till November time, and then we'll know where we are. And then November became December, December became January. You've got all of the fan base at the moment. I'm not talking about internally, but the fan base were, let's cling on till January. Let's have a look at where we are in January, and then we'll be able to sign players and this, that, and the other, which I never really actually agreed with. But we'll get into the ban and stuff. But there are certain players that have kind of gone, I'm done now. I'm had enough. I've taken it as far as I can go with it. I'm down in tools. I'm leaving the club. I'm going to move on. I'm going to sign this contract here. And to be fair to some of them, they did it early and they went, it's not for me, this. And if it's not for you, there's that old saying, if this ain't the journey for you, then get off the bus. And people are getting off the bus, and they've done it early. For Pedersen to be where he is now, looking at that decimation of the squad, and there's a couple of tweets that have gone out that have listed the players that are unavailable, that have listed the players that have gone. We're talking nearly 50 players that are either unavailable, have been sold, academy gone, ex-manager gone, backroom staff have gone, no players coming in. How can you lose that number of players and not be able to replace it, other than the odd loanee here and there that we've had in fits and starts, and then expect to be competitive at any level whatsoever, and even try and sort of, galvanise it? To bring it back to that point about Pedersen and you deciding whether or not you want to sort of call him out, I agree, and I understand what you're saying, but at the same time, it's not a level playing field. So does he get a little bit of a pass?
Maybe, but and you're right. Yeah, he does get a pass. But I agree with this comment here from Jay Gately saying he wouldn't have got a job in the Championship at any other club. That's why he took the job. He thought he was going to get a fast pass. And by all means, you've got an opportunity there. Take it. Grab it with both hands. But this is a shitstorm. And as time's gone on, it's been a shitter storm. And your failings as a man manager are starting to come out a little bit, I feel, is where I'm going with that. However, he did sign on. He did sign up for this, but I just don't think he understood the true level.
I don't think anybody did. I don't think anybody.
I weren't ready.
What we've got.
I weren't ready when I signed on to do this fucking podcast.
It's all very cloak and dagger at the moment, isn't it? And having to go with the begging ball to the EFL every other week, it's got to be demoralising as well, because the EFL, rightly or wrongly, are not going to help us out, are they? You know what I mean? They're not going to give us a free pass, because other teams would rightly kick up a fuss, even though we're down anyway. Let's be honest. But I agree with you all there. I don't think the situation, it looked as bleak as what it actually is. It's actually, you thought it was bad, but it's a lot worse. And now it's just, it does. We're just waiting out to see if anything materialises before the window shuts. Mainly because we just want to give these kids a rest, like Simon was saying earlier. They're still kids, they're still growing. We need to protect them. We need to, make sure we've got a youth team going forward, not to break them. I mean, Ernie Weaver was looking so promising, wasn't he? And then we lost him for the season. And we don't want to lose any more. We like the young lad who scored that worldie, the I can't remember his name now. Brazilian sounding name, but I can't remember him. He went down.
Guy
as well.
Sikira.
Yeah. Another one there, and so you're still growing, and you've got to protect them and wrap them in cotton wool. And unfortunately, needs must. We haven't got that luxury. So the sooner we know one way or another what we're doing, then I'm sure it'll be better for everyone. But yeah, Henrik knew it was bad, but I don't think he knew it was this bad. And the trouble is, it's really hard to judge him under these circumstances. Although, on the other hand, you'd say prior to coming to us, he'd not got a great record in management. Is he more of a coach than a manager? So maybe a conversation for another time. But it must be really, really difficult for him for sure.
I tell you what, look, let's sum this up, because I think Martin summed it up really well here. Martin said, I don't think he's the right man, but I find it incredibly harsh to dig him out. It's the impossible job. It is. I agree. James Cosgrove has gone with the EFL are not fit for purpose. And this question is one that, it's a very talk sport question, isn't it? Who are you going to get then? You know what I mean? Could anybody else do a better job? Probably not. It's just the situation we're in and we need to ride it out. Do I believe that somebody could do a better job? Yes. Yes, I do. Do I believe that Paul Ferrugia's question, this is the best one, what other manager would take this job on at the moment? We're stuck with it. I also agree. Who else is going to take it on? But I reckon if you walked up to, like I said, one of these massive pricks like Nigel Clough and Darren Ferguson, they'd probably take it. And they'd probably make a fist of it. And I don't think we're making a fist of it. If I'm truly harsh, but again, I agree with Martin saying digging him out is harsh. So let's move on from that, because, ladies and gentlemen, there were some scenes at the end of the Bristol City game, and it was our captain Barry Bannan, who had been heavily rumoured and heavily linked with a move to Millwall and/or Preston during the week, and it was going to be his final game for Sheffield Wednesday this season. I will add the caveat of this is heartbreaking to see this play out the way it is. Kevin Pressman left without a testimonial. Apparently, Yissa Alau has been with the club 10 years. He's left without a testimonial. I don't think it works like that. But for this man who has given everything for the club, there was a point in the summer where he was running the club, where he was being the liaison between the manager or whoever was in charge at the club, and the rest of the players. He's the one calling out Danny Roll when he decided he didn't want to come back to work. This is massive in its time.
Yeah, it's the end of an era, isn't it? For some, it's an end of an era. I mean, to give your 10 years of your career and to be a player who constantly has been in the top 5 of most assists, the creator of the chances in the EFL, since he's been at Wednesday. It's, I think I said last week, we knew this day was coming, but it's still really difficult to take when the day comes. It's
the circumstance of it though as well.
I mean, the circumstances just. Does anything surprise me Wednesday at the moment?
This for me is the poster boy of the legacy that Chansiri left behind.
Yeah, I mean, he came in on a free image before. Yeah, I mean, this sums up probably what we're all feeling like inside. Inside of us is all a little Barry Bannan, and that's how we feel when we walk out of Hillsborough every and the away game. It is the fact that he wears his heart on his sleeve, and this is just probably the tip of, it's that last straw that breaks the camel's back amongst a lot of fans, him going. And that's probably why it makes it so emotional, because you look at a lad who's given it all and was training at the start of the season being unpaid, and now he's got to the point where he can't be here any more. At that point, you just think to yourself, if Barry Bannan don't want to be here, then where do we go from here? Where do we go from here? I mean, the guy's, he's done 2 Wembleys with us, hasn't he? One losing and one winning. He's seen some players come, he's seen some players go, and he's always stayed here, and he's always sort of led from the front. Some people don't like the way he acts as a captain. Sometimes you just think that that's what a captain needs to be sometimes. But you know what? He wears his heart on his sleeve, and and he'll never not. I remember when we went to see Dalton Smith, and he was down near the front with Josh Windass, and myself and Ash went down, and he was talking to us like he'd known us for years. You know, he doesn't have any pretensions about himself. I think he goes on holiday sometimes in a static caravan. He's just seems a really nice bloke, as well as being a guy who's given 10 years of his life to Wednesday. So it was sad, but the whole thing from it, you know, these pictures, and then afterwards, we don't know whether he is going or not. If Millwall approached us, and it's just like,
yeah,
that is welcome to be a Wednesday fan, everybody.
There is a weird thing that he was supposed to have his medical on Sunday, but I believe Joe Cran released today that he was on his way down today. Now, if you are down in London, Barry, give us a ring. I'll show you about the place. I'll, you know what I mean? I've got a few bars we can go and visit. We'll take you out, man. You know what I mean? We'll have a good time. You know, Stevie Simon mentioned there a Barry Bannan moment in talking to him and him being a nice fella to talk to and somebody down to earth and stuff like that. And it's clear, given the outpouring of emotion from his teammates on social media, just how popular he is with the thing. I mean, what sort of memories have you got of him? What one sticks out for you the most?
I think we talked about it just before we came on air. My background.
Yeah, I was trying to do a bit of kayfabe for you, mate. Like we'd not rehearsed it, but thanks for pulling the curtain back on that one, bro.
Right, fucking hell. My sort of background in being a Wednesday fan, from being a kid, you then go and play football, and I kind of stepped away a little bit and played, coached, did the grassroots sort of stuff, and played at whatever level I played at. And it was only when I decided I was too old to do that anymore do you go back and sort of really start following the club as closely as I have over the last sort of 8-9 years. But Bannan sort of preceded all of that, my return to being a full-time Wednesday fan, going to the games week in, week out, because I could. So it does feel hard. It's difficult to take on a personal level, because he's been that constant. You know, he arrived when we just at that sort of Carlos era coming in. He who shall not be named in terms of the chairman being that new dawn. But we've seen the good times going all the way up to getting into the playoffs twice, getting to Wembley. You know, people will laugh at us for the amount of money that we were spending and thinking we were back and all of that. There were times where he was coming in, and when he first signed, he played on the left-hand side because he wasn't getting into that team, and that speaks volumes for him as a person to sort of force his way into that position that I think everybody would agree is best for him, playing in the middle of the park. But also, it's a testament to how much quality we had 10 years ago in the Sheffield Wednesday setup, that he was finding it difficult to get in there in the first place when he was a little bit younger. But he's seen it all, hasn't he? He's seen that relegation. He's seen the COVID. He's seen the negativity in terms of the latter sort of era of the previous chairman's sort of tenureship, if you like. For me personally, my memories of Barry Bannan will coincide with my supporting Sheffield Wednesday with my daughter, you know, and I'll always have the fondest memories. And me and Molly have got a special bond because we go to the away days. We've done the weekends away and so on and so forth. But the one that stuck out was her first away day was MK Dons down in League One on the Saturday night. So going down there, booking ourselves into the hotel that was at the side of the ground, spending the day down there watching, I think it was Liverpool Man City in a semi-final of the FA Cup, making a real day of it, and her going out and the noise. MK Don Stadium, MK is a big metal sort of tin of a stadium now, isn't it? It makes noise when you bang on the side of the walls and what have you. And my daughter at the time was probably 5-6 years younger than she is. Well, 4 years younger than she is now. So she didn't know what to make of it. And just being there, we saw the sort of the spectrum of everything that she was as a fan. And I attribute him to having that sort of that relationship with my daughter, her going to watch. She's absolutely devastated that he's leaving. And I know that we can have that conversation, that argument about what he means to us as adult supporters, but what he means to the club as well. But we've got a generation of Sheffield Wednesday fans that are Sheffield Wednesday fans because of Barry Bannan. And that's absolutely, that's something that needs a hat to be tipped to it, really. I don't think it's going to be a hell of a long time until we get another player of the ability and the technical ability, but also the ability off the pitch to galvanise a fan base and to bring people into the ground and get that sort of supportership going through, because I don't think there's anybody else coming through that'll be able to do that.
I have nothing to add. I think you've worded it perfectly. I feel like there's a point, John, where he's kind of been let down a little bit. Let down a lot. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying a little bit. Let down a lot. When he signed for the club, he had some quality around him. That midfield of Kieran Lee and I think Hutchinson was in there as well at some point. You know what I mean? Absolutely incredible. And he's been let down. Here's your new pals. They've got together. They've got to Wembley. They've succeeded. And then all of that team's been stripped out as time's gone on. And then here's some dross to play next to. Joey Pelopessi, go and play next to him. No. You know what I mean? Here's Alman Abdi. He's going to be, he's not turned up. Here's somebody to cover you out the back. Daryl Lackman. Where the fuck's he gone? You know what I mean? Stuff like that. We've let him down. And then nothing more has been, I said we, the chairman has, and nothing more has been prevalent than that, than the way that the chairman's let him down as well. It does all come back to the chairman. Have you got any Baz moments you want to share?
Well, yeah. I mean, firstly, I want to say that this is a worse ending than Lost. This is a worse ending than Game of Thrones. Barry didn't deserve to go out this way. Barry deserved to go out on a successful season. We wanted him to lead us back to the Premier League, or at least, have another tilt in the playoffs. And unfortunately, thanks to, like you just mentioned, to one man, it's sadly not possible. And I think, there are not many instances in life where you come across a player of your favourite team that doesn't just give his all for the club, but gets the club and gets the fans. And, he wanted success for Sheffield Wednesday every bit as much as what the fans did. If he wasn't kicking a ball on the pitch, he'd have been stood in the stands with us. He got us. That little guy from Ayrshire or wherever in Scotland is a Wednesday fan for life. No matter what happens now, he'll always be a Wednesday fan. And he'll always be a legend of the club. And that's what we've got. We've got a player that could have left multiple times to play for other clubs, either in a better position in the same division or even higher up. But he didn't. He stuck with us through thick and thin. Not getting paid. These guys are on a lot of money, so you can imagine the mortgages and houses that they've got and stuff. Not getting paid. He's got a young family as well. He stayed with us. I genuinely don't think he wants to leave, but he's been backed into a corner right now, and it seemed like he's leaving, and it's just truly sad for the player that we got on pretty much either a free transfer or very low fee. Came in and like you say, he's outlasted all these other players that have come in around him. Kieran Lee, Alex Lopez, Hutch, Forestier. They've all come and gone, but the stalwart in that engine room, the heart of our club over the last 10 years has been Mr. Sheffield Wednesday, and that's Barry Bannan. So it's absolutely devastating that he goes out on these terms. Really, really sad. And I think, I don't know if he'll come back and in any capacity as part of a coaching staff in the future, or if something gets done with his takeover and maybe we can get him back one day. I don't know, but he'll be sorely missed.
Absolutely. Let me get through some of these comments. I've got to get one slagging off the EFL. Marty's put a great comment today. I really enjoyed this one. It says, when my 5-year-old met him, he had a McNugget in his pocket all day. He chose the moment of meeting Barry Bannan to reveal it. Look, Barry, I have a chicken nugget. God knows what he thought, but he smiled. You know what I mean? I tell you what, actually, Simon, didn't Barry come over when your son and Ash's son were dressed as Cocaine Bear and Donnie Darko when we did the Easter egg drop? I love the way they've met the captain, but they're dressed as a bunny rabbit and a bear.
I mean, the scary thing is, obviously Steve spoke about his first time at the away game at MK Dons. What he didn't mention was the fact that he scored that worldie, didn't he? They chipped the keeper. Yeah. Which in the pink kit, and it was just, we were bang behind it. Oh, God, that was amazing. But just thinking then about kids, my lad's 18. He would have been 6, 7 when Bannan first started at Wednesday, which is scary. See what I did there?
You're so down with the kids, mate. You're so down.
No, I'm not. And it just...
He's going to love that, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm going to clip that tomorrow.
It's just... There's people there, kids there, our kids, who have not known the club without Barry Bannan playing for them, which is scary because...
quarter of my life.
We've seen players come and go, some really good players over the years, but they've never been with the club that long. and it is, you know, they've been in your life and been part of your life, and even though you might never have met them, they are part of your life, aren't they? You know,
Yeah,
because it's the team you support, and I can't even imagine people like Palmer and some of the stalwarts in there, the coaching staff, physios, etc., been there a long time, walking into the changing room or on training, and he's not going to be there. It's going to be really, really weird because of him being there so long.
It very much is the dawn of a new day. Izzy Nick has said there's going to be fans who are devastated. I'm sure not easy to get over your hero moving on. We've also had Matt Davies saying, I remember him meeting my son, saying hello to him a week later. He passed us going to the match and remembered his name. A nice little touch, that. Amazing, that, Baz. Huddersfield away in 2016. Baz was injured, so he came in the away end with the fan, suns him up. And then Craig Hayward said, mentally, this season can't have been easy for him. He must have felt like a babysitter at times. And this is something that I wanted to mention. Obviously, the Blades online are giving it the beans. And, that's the back and forth. That's the two Sheffield clubs. But the one thing that I struggle tolerating and trying and fight not to reply to is the rats are jumping the ship and all the rest of it. That man has stayed on 6 months longer than he should have done. He took a 2/3 pay cut to stay on these 6 months to try and get us somewhere. And just like we were talking about with Henrik Pedersen, I just don't feel like he realised it was going to be that bad. I feel like we knew it was going to be tough. We knew it was going to be hard work, but bloody hell, we didn't realise it was going to be this every week, because there is more decimation, injuries, players going out the door, all his mates going, all the rest of it. I just don't think any of us thought it was going to be this bad. And this will bring us on to our next topic after this. But I want you to keep posting your Barry Bannan memories, your favourite ones on the pitch, off the pitch, in the comments, and I'll chuck them up as we go. But go on, John.
Just a quick one before you go on to that one. One of my favourite ones was not in particularly assisting or scoring a goal, but you remember when we were away at Preston and we were fighting for a late goal, we were playing in the orange kit and it was pinging about in the box and everywhere like that, and then Reach rifled one into the corner and Barry just jumped up like that, didn't they? Right into in front of the Wednesdayites on that steep away end. They just like, come on. It was just like, that was one of my favourites. That.
Yeah, I think one of the ones I remember was when Smudger scored that shit pinger against Portsmouth that he absolutely launched himself like Smudge, catch me, you know what I mean? Absolutely outstanding. But let's move on, because we've got the bad thing to talk about, the takeovers and and all the rest of it that's going on now. I don't want to spend too much time on it because I know we're short of time, but Alex Miller reposted and reiterated a piece by Dale Johnson, who is a reporter from the BBC, and what it does is beautifully break down the processes that we're supposed to go through, that's supposed to happen around takeovers. I don't know how much we can comment on this or how much we can add to it, because it's a very matter-of-fact piece. So, for example, it starts with just a few things to clear about Sheffield Wednesday takeover process. The preferred bidder is not allowed to communicate with anyone at the club, player or staff during the EFL process. Hopefully that should put to bed some of the rumours that we've been getting. The preferred bidder is not allowed to offer contracts or engage in deals. So that, again, might quell a few rumours. That was tweet one that pulled me in. Public statements by all parties are discouraged. The preferred bidder makes guarantees to cover losses during the EFL process. This is something that we've heard, that the preferred bidder has put a loan to the club. This has been something that's happened. If the preferred bidder fails, no evidence of this being the case, which is an important caveat, there is zero funding guarantees from that point. So to sum this up, the preferred bidder has put in a loan to the club to help with running costs, right? But if the preferred bidder fails, and there's no evidence of this being the case, there is zero funding guarantees from that point. An important point there. The administrator has to cover, next point is the administrator has to cover funding eventualities from that point. So let's say if the EFL say, that's your preferred bidder, no, thank you. The administrator has to cover funding eventualities from that point. Let's say it's the start of February, then there has to be a safety net to run the business, which is, you know what I mean, which is how we have to safeguard for the future. Administration is a painful process in which Sheffield Wednesday have largely been insulated from transfer window, which we've been insulated from when the transfer window has been closed. Now it's open all of a sudden. Now there's a lot more things swimming around. There's a lot more things to consider because football has got a lot of big money in it. And and we've got an opportunity to safeguard ourselves by having to sell, and I'm going to use the word assets, but obviously that we would like to stay competitive, and the administrators would like to keep the players that we've got. The next point is all clubs in administration suffer the loss of playing assets in the transfer windows. The problem is for Sheffield Wednesday that it's a double hit. The Chance Series summer sell-off and now the admin sell-off. The rest of this season is going to be incredibly difficult. More players will leave. Very matter of fact, if you get to see that, it's Dale Johnson at Dale Johnson BBC on X. Give it a read, and it should explain to you why things are the way they are. And just
point out, Dan, sorry to jump in there. We've tweeted it. I think it was you that was reposted that, so they can jump on our X and find it, can't they?
Yeah, very much so, because I think it's brilliant. It's definitely on mine because I thought it was great. So on top of that, what I did was reach out to Chris Wigfield, one of the co-administrators of the process, which essentially doubled down on what that was saying. And I tried to put a journalist hat on and tried to press him for a statement or some kind of reassurance, because we all know it's going to be difficult. We know it's going to be bad. But like we spoke about with Henrik Pedersen and like we spoke about with Barry Bannan, we didn't realize it was going to be this bad. And I was hoping that I could get some kind of statement or some kind of piece to just go, hey, guys, this is just how it goes. Dale Johnson's article does that. Dale Johnson's thread does that very well. And Chris said, look, Dan, because the transfer window is open now, I can't say too much. However, what he did say was that once the transfer window has closed, then there will be a statement then. I know that's not exactly groundbreaking news, but Chris very much understands that the fans are getting edgy. And because it feels like a double hit, like Dale referenced, because it feels like a double hit with the players that were lost in the summer because Chancery didn't pay the players and they can hand their notice in. And because the transfer windows come round again, it feels worse. And that's why it's become so vitriolic online. That's why it's become so difficult. So we are at the 26th of January right now, and there will be an update from the administrators probably in about 7 to 8 days. That's my exclusive. I'm now going to... that not exactly groundbreaking news. I'm not professing to be Alex Miller or Joe Cran right now, but Chris was really forthcoming, and he completely understood all of the concerns that everybody's got. And I did say to him, are you being a bit fed up being the poster boy of all this? Because there's like a team of people behind him. It ain't just Chris. Come on now. You know what I mean? Where are we at? Has anybody got anything to add on top of that?
I think it's worth just sort of, I think you've been quite understated there in terms of your interaction with Chris. And I think it's worth just sort of highlighting the fact that what you did today was you've reached out and said, can we have a conversation about it? Would you be willing? And he said, we need to have a think about it. I don't think I'm saying anything that we're not allowed to say. And he said, I'll get back to you. You've then gone, he's not going to get back to me. And to be fair to Chris, whatever people are seeing and hearing online, he's given it an hour, looked at what he can and can't say. And then he's gone, I'm going to call Dan Fudge from the Wednesday week and we're going to have a conversation about it. And fair play to him. It would have been very easy for him to just give it, we'll be in touch sort of text message and then him not do anything. But he's been forthcoming in coming forwards. And I know that the reason I mentioned that is not to blow smoke up your arse or our arse. But what I'm saying there is that Chris could have very easily been diplomatic and gone, I'm not going to say anything and I'm going to give it a bit of a wide berth. But he was willing to have that conversation with you. And he has picked the phone up today and you have had a conversation. It was him that called you.
Yeah, very much so. And I'm glad he did. And I think if anything, what comes out of that is an endeavour to engage with the fans, because whether actual journalists and broadcasters like it or not, this is the way modern football broadcasting is now. We've all seen the shit show that Sky Sports News is, and why not engage with fans that go down a different route that's not BBC Radio Sheffield or Alex and Joe's articles? Not that I'm slagging those off in this moment, but you know what I mean.
I've got a message I need to send Alex later though.
yeah. But yeah, so on top of that, on the back of all that, having everything that's been said, Yissa Alau has now signed for Celtic.
Chelsea.
Sorry,
Celtic. Same thing.
Yissa Alau, even though I've literally got it on screen in big gold letters, it does say Chelsea Football Club. I think the last player we sold to Celtic was Emerson Tome. But looking at this, fair play to the kid. Fair fucks to him, man. I don't mind, Simon. Are you It's going to make us less competitive this season, but it's already a shit show. Let the geezer go on and see if he can further his career. He'll probably end up coming back on loan to us in 10 years anyway, won't he?
This is okay. So they are assets. You mentioned the word assets earlier on, and we've already seen, haven't we, that the sane-minded of us who actually look at the facts rather than listen to the deluge of shit that is X, realise that the club are in a position where some assets are going to have to go, and we've already sold one earlier on this year, Cadamatri, to Man City for a large amount of money, and we've just done the same. Is it what we're talking about? Is it they're talking like 800,000, just short of £1 million for him to go to Chelsea? This is a lad who looks like he's going to be a super player, but still is unproven. So, the club, we can't afford to say no in our current situation. I worry, though, that these kids go to like the Man City are almost like a factory turning over these players who actually, how many of them do end up playing for the first team? And Chelsea have done it for years, haven't they? And if you look at the players that we've had on loan from Chelsea who have never actually made it into the first team and now are playing non-league or have even retired, it's quite scary. But beggars can't be choosers. And we're in the situation where somebody comes in with a checkbook and offers a ridiculous amount of money. As we've already seen, we need to future-proof ourselves just in case the bid does not come off to buyers. Somebody offers 800 grand for a young lad who's 16, 17, then I'm sorry, you bite your hand off, don't you?
Yeah, try and there yourself, wouldn't you? You know what I mean? Okay, I don't think I've got much to add, chaps. Are we at the back end there? Have we done it? Have we finished? I tell you what, actually, Stevie, do you mind bringing up Simon Speakeasy's thing again? If I put the graphic on the screen, you know more about it than I do.
Yeah, so I had the good fortune, and I think he's tuned in. He's texted me to say he's tuning in tonight just to have a bit of a watch. The One Bench, One Match Speakeasy Club initiative. We've got a meet. For those of you that are regular viewers, you'll have seen that he was on last week, did a little cameo. The graphic that you can see on screen has got all the details. We've been sharing that. Basically, this Saturday, if you are feeling a little bit socially isolated, you feel a little bit lonely, you've got that anxiety around wanting to go to a game of football, wanting to get out there and sort of put yourself in, not out of your comfort zone, but in a situation where you can go and meet like-minded people. Simon's Bench is the pink one outside the club shop. It's had a bit of a glow up since the picture of the one that you can see on screen. It's now blue and white in terms of the seating area as well. But at 11:15, we're all going to get together and have a bit of a conversation, have a bit of a chat, have a bit of a meet-up. Anybody that wants to come down feeling like they've got nobody to go to a game with, he's put a form out. You can fill the form in. It's a Google form. You get in touch and you can get yourself a free ticket to the game. If you sign up, you come and meet Simon, the people that are there. It's not something that we're expecting dozens and dozens of people. He's got some partners there as well, so we're partnering up. Goose has partnered up. Lensgo, Stu Lensgo's partnered up. So it's a group of people that are getting together to offer opportunities for people to go to a game of football, have some conversations, get to meet people, and just get that social, not awkwardness. That's absolutely the wrong thing to say, but be able to go and have a bit of a chat at a game of football and see if you've got some commonalities with some like-minded people. Doesn't cost a penny if you want to go and get involved, but we'll be down there from sort of 11:15 on Saturday. Ticket into the ground, and he just wants to start the conversation. If you ever get an opportunity to meet Simon, he is salt of the earth. He's an absolutely fantastic bloke. I had a wonderful afternoon with him on Saturday, even though he drank me under the table. I think we're in double-figure pints by the time he got on the train at 7 o'clock. But yeah, we'll do it all again in the next few weeks. But yeah, get down there Saturday, get in touch, reach out to us, or Speakeasy Club 1 on X. But he's on all the socials as well. So yeah, get yourselves down, get in touch if you need any more information.
It really is an impressive project that Simon's been running there. So listen, let's wrap this up. Don't forget to get involved if you are a Facebook user on the WAWAW group. Simon's going to be shared on that as well, I believe. I know that Simon and Matt are talking, Matt who runs the group. So get yourselves involved and don't forget to sign up. On behalf of myself, Stevie, Simon and John, thanks a lot for joining this evening, and I promise it will get better. It just might be a bit more of a run than we thought it was going to be. See you later.
Every week, live from 8 p.m. It's the Wednesday Week. Bringing you football analysis.
But he said we'll win the league next season.
Bringing you modern references.
I did a little 1920s fist pump there. Not done that in a while.
If we could do just a 1-to-1, not me because it'd last 7 days apparently, like Craig David.
I should not have said that. I should not have said that.
This shows like you're mental. No, I'm not.
Clip that.
Bringing you terrible impressions.
Wibble, wobble, wobbly, wobbly, wibble, wobble, Cyber Jordan. When, hey, you got to play a 4-4-2. She. I don't know where these jokes are coming from.
Available on all social medias.
Obviously, this goes out on YouTube and as well as all the other social media out there, podcasts, etc.
The award-winning Wednesday Week. Join us.
Put on your pod